These latest headlines from ABC15 are sponsored by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorneys. One call, that's all.
Hi there, I'm Jamie Warren with your top stories from ABC15 Arizona. We are raising awareness about a nationwide issue impacting us right here in Arizona: sex trafficking. The National Human Trafficking Hotline estimates hundreds of thousands of incidents occur every year nationwide. And now, as Scripps News reports, there is a link between this crisis and another one we're facing as a nation: heroin addiction.
Addiction to heroin and other drugs often comes into play for victims of sex trafficking. In Boston, an organization called My Life, My Choice provides mentors like Ann Wilkinson to help exploited youth transition from victim to survivor.
Drugs played a major part of my exploitation, as I think it does with girls. I had to use drugs to medicate and sedate myself for what was going on. I have never, the entire time that I was I was high. I was never not high when I was when I had to turn a date.
But it's hard to actually find numbers on how the opioid crisis is intersecting with human trafficking. We called officials in the top 15 states for overdoses in the country. We were looking for reports on human trafficking that also looked at whether or not drugs were involved. What we found was an inconsistent patchwork of reports on the subject. But most of the states did acknowledge a connection. Kentucky is one of the states that actually does keep track of this, and we got a look at its numbers. So in 2016, reports show a third of child human trafficking cases involved drugs in some way. And we wanted to find out more of how this was happening, so we filed a records request with Kentucky's Cabinet for Health and Human Services. Of the 80 alleged victims in which drugs were provided or involved in the trafficking, the age range was between 2 and 17 years old. We spoke to sources in Kentucky who said that in the especially young cases of trafficking, parents who have a drug habit are feeding that habit by selling time with their kids to pedophile drug dealers, basically. I mean, I know there's a heroin epidemic, and that being addicted to such a strong drug really is a disease because it makes you do things that are usually unfathomable to you. But to get to the point of desperation where you see dollar signs on your kid's forehead is something that I can't really wrap my mind around.
And advocates say that there are strategies to fight this, and it's going to start with training with first responders, law enforcement, and healthcare providers needing to recognize both the signs of trafficking and substance abuse, since addiction is such a major risk factor for victims. Here in the Valley, there is some nightly construction projects that we need to tell you about. On the Loop 101 connector to the 51, Cave Creek Road is going to be your detour option for that. You can find all of the weekend construction projects happening across the valley by heading to our website, abc15.com/traffic. If you're looking for things to do this weekend, you can celebrate your grandparents with a day of fun, learning, and creativity at the Heard Museum. Tomorrow, the museum will be holding a very special event. It's called Grand Time Together. Kids are free with the purchase of a regular ticket for that event. It goes from 10 to 2. A little bit of a cool down in temperatures today, which will be really nice. Our expected high today here in Phoenix is 97 degrees. That is below average for this time of year. And yeah, we're thankfully nowhere near that record that was set back in 2020. Now, with that cooler weather, we can call it that, right, here in Phoenix, we're also seeing that in other parts of our state. Sedona, your high today is 87 degrees. Payson, you'll be sitting at 83 today. Flagstaff, your expected high today is 73. So here's that 7-day forecast for you. We do have a slight chance for rain in the forecast, just a 20% chance here in the Phoenix area. But it looks like things are going to dry out by tomorrow here in Arizona. We will warm up, though, to triple digits. For the very latest headlines, weather, and traffic, head on over to ABC15.com or download that free ABC15 mobile app.
These latest headlines from ABC 15 are sponsored by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorneys. One call, that's all.